Across our planet, a quiet ritual unfolds with the rising sun. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the serene cafes of Vienna, a familiar aroma fills the air. It is the scent of roasting beans, a rich and inviting fragrance that signals the start of a new day for billions of people. This humble drink, coffee, has woven itself into the very fabric of our daily lives. It is a source of comfort, a jolt of energy, and a reason to gather. We hold it in our hands during quiet moments of reflection and share it over lively conversations with friends. Think for a moment about your own relationship with this dark, invigorating liquid. Perhaps it is the first thing you reach for in the morning. Maybe it is the centerpiece of a social gathering, a shared experience that strengthens bonds and sparks new ideas. Over 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed around the world every single day. This staggering number speaks to its universal appeal, a testament to its power to transcend cultures, borders, and languages. It is a constant companion on our life's journey, present in moments of celebration and solace alike, a simple pleasure that has become an indispensable part of modern existence. But how did this simple bean, harvested from a small evergreen shrub, achieve such extraordinary global dominance? Its journey from a remote mountainside to the cup in your hands is a story filled with incredible twists and turns. It is a tale of myth and legend, of spirituality and intellectual awakening, of revolution and commerce. This is not just the story of a plant, but the story of human ingenuity, desire, and our unceasing quest for connection. The history of coffee is, in many ways, a reflection of the history of the world itself, charting the course of trade, politics, and culture over centuries. Before it fueled our boardrooms and creative studios, this powerful bean was a closely guarded secret. It was discovered, so the legends say, by a humble goat herder who noticed his flock dancing with an unusual energy. It would be used by mystics to reach for the divine, condemned by clerics as a devilish brew, and celebrated by thinkers as the catalyst for enlightenment. We will explore how this potent seed ignited revolutions, built empires, and forever changed the way humanity works, thinks, and connects with one another. Our legend begins around the 9th century, deep within the lush, rolling highlands of ancient Abyssinia, the land we now call Ethiopia. It is here we meet a solitary figure named Kaldi, a humble goat herder who spent his days wandering the green plateaus, watching over his flock. His life was simple and predictable. Little did Kaldi know that one ordinary afternoon, a chance encounter with a peculiar plant would set the entire world on a new and energetic course. One day, as the afternoon sun warmed the hillsides, Kaldi noticed something strange. His normally calm and docile goats were behaving in a most unusual manner. They were leaping, bleating, and dancing with an almost frantic, joyous energy he had never witnessed before. He tracked their movements and soon discovered the source of their peculiar excitement, a small, unfamiliar shrub covered in glossy green leaves and bright cherry-red berries. Driven by curiosity, Kaldi decided he must investigate these mysterious berries for himself. Hesitantly, he popped it into his mouth and began to chew. The fruit was surprisingly sweet, but the seeds inside were bitter. Soon after, a remarkable sensation washed over him. A wave of invigorating energy coursed through his body, sharpening his senses and lifting his spirits. He felt a newfound alertness and a sense of exhilaration that made him want to dance right alongside his goats. He gathered more of the magical berries and rushed home, eager to share his incredible story. His journey would lead him to the door of a local monastery, where his discovery would face its first true test. Upon reaching a nearby monastery, Kaldi burst in, and presented the handful of red berries to the chief abbot. The abbot, however, was a stern and deeply conservative man. Fearing the berries were the work of dark forces, he declared them to be sinful, and promptly threw them into a roaring fire. But as the berries hit the hot embers, something truly magical happened. A wonderful and intoxicating aroma began to fill the monastery. The rich, nutty, deeply fragrant scent of roasting coffee beans captivated the other monks. Intrigued, the monks quickly raked the now roasted beans from the ashes and placed them in an ewer, covering them with hot water to keep them for later examination. They found that sipping the dark, bitter brew helped them fend off drowsiness during their long, nocturnal hours of prayer and spiritual devotion. The news of this energizing drink spread to the quiet, devout communities of Sufi mystics, who needed something to help them overcome physical weariness and maintain their spiritual vigilance. They called this new drink kawa, a spiritual stimulant, a wine of Araby that intoxicated the soul with divine awareness. The bitter brew banished sleep, sharpened their concentration, and allowed them to perform their religious duties with renewed vigor and clarity. So, what was this mysterious force hidden within the roasted bean? We now know it by a single famous name: caffeine. Throughout the day, a chemical called adenosine builds up in our bodies, making us feel tired and drowsy. Caffeine fits into those same receptors. By blocking adenosine from doing its job, caffeine prevents the tired signal from ever reaching our brain. This blockage then allows the brain's own natural stimulants, dopamine and adrenaline, to flow more freely. The result is that feeling of heightened alertness. The secret of coffee could not remain confined within monastery walls for long. The fame of kawa spread beyond the spiritual circles. The first coffee houses in the world, known as kave canes, began to appear in cities across the Middle East. They became bustling hubs of social activity, where poets recited their latest verses, scholars debated points of philosophy, and merchants negotiated deals. Several attempts were made to ban coffee and shut down the coffee houses. However, the public's love for the drink was too powerful. Every ban was eventually overturned. Our story now sails across the shimmering waters of the Mediterranean to the magnificent city of Venice. When the first coffee shipments landed in Venice, conservative religious figures were horrified. They viewed this dark, bitter liquid as a threat. The drink was condemned in the strongest possible terms, earning the dramatic and ominous title, "The Bitter Invention of Satan." The controversy reached such a fever pitch that advisors to Pope Clement VIII pleaded with him to ban coffee outright. The Pope decided he must sample this so-called devil's drink. Far from being repulsed, he was delighted. According to legend, he declared, "This devil's drink is so delicious that we should cheat the devil by baptizing it." The Pope's endorsement opened the floodgates for coffee to pour into Europe. The cafe became a place for sober, intelligent conversation. As the coffeehouse craze swept across Europe, it found its most explosive home in the bustling, politically charged streets of 18th century Paris. Within their smoke-filled, caffeine-fueled interiors, the very future of France was being debated by figures like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Diderot. These spaces were profoundly democratic. All one needed was the small price of a cup of coffee to gain entry into this vibrant world of ideas. One such pivotal moment occurred on July 12, 1789. A young fiery lawyer named Camille Desmoulins leaped onto a table at the Café de Foy.
"To arms, we must take up arms!"
This speech is now seen as the spark that lit the fuse of the French Revolution. Just 2 days later, the revolutionary mob stormed the Bastille prison, an event that would topple a monarchy and reshape the course of modern history. For centuries, the Arab world held a complete monopoly on the cultivation of coffee. They guarded their precious plants fiercely. The breakthrough came around 1616. A daring Dutch merchant, Peter van den Broeke, successfully smuggled a few live coffee seedlings out of Yemen. In 1696, they transported the seedlings to the island of Java. The name Java quickly became synonymous with coffee, a nickname that endures to this day. Gabriel de Clieu embarked on a perilous mission. Water was rationed, and de Clieu shared his water with the fragile seedling. Francisco de Melo Paleta charmed the governor's wife, who secretly gave him a bouquet with coffee seeds. Those seeds founded Brazil's coffee empire. But this spread has a dark side. The coffee boom rested on exploitation and human suffering. Millions of enslaved Africans and indentured local population were forced to harvest beans in brutal conditions. King Frederick the Great of Prussia created the Kaffeeschnuffler, the coffee sniffers. They patrolled the streets, literally sniffing the air for roasting coffee. Johann Sebastian Bach loved coffee. He wrote the comic Coffee Cantata. She sings, "Ah, how sweet coffee tastes, lovelier than 1,000 kisses." And the world's priciest coffee? Kopi Luwak from Indonesia. The Asian palm civet eats ripe coffee cherries. Beans pass through its digestive tract. The brew is smooth and low in bitterness, fetching hundreds of dollars per pound. A strange, startling quest for the perfect cup. This global obsession has given rise to an incredible diversity of coffee cultures, each with its own unique traditions and rituals. Today we are living in what is often called the third wave of coffee culture. This wave emphasizes high-quality, single-origin beans and artisanal brewing methods. This focus on transparency, quality, and craftsmanship celebrates coffee not just as a commodity, but as an agricultural product with a rich story. From a legendary discovery on an Ethiopian plateau to the billions of cups we consume today, Coffee's journey is nothing short of epic. It has fueled intellectual awakenings, sparked political uprisings, built colonial empires, but its remarkable ability is to bring people together. So the next time you hold a warm cup in your hands, take a moment to consider the incredible journey it has taken. Every sip is a taste of history. The story of coffee is a reflection of our own story, and that story is far from over. It continues to connect us, to energize us, to inspire us in countless ways. The magic that Kaldi first witnessed lives on in every cup. A simple yet profound pleasure that has conquered the world, one delicious cup at a time.